Hi everyone, welcome to this new session of CFA Level 2. Today we'll be covering the remaining portion of our first reading from derivatives, which is going to focus on swaps. So in the first reading, we've already done two sessions where we looked at forward contracts where we had equity as the underlying, then we had fixed income instruments as an underlying. We also looked at forward rate agreements where the interest rate became the underlying, and we also have a decent discussion for currency forwards that we did in the previous session itself, where the currency itself, the foreign currency, that became the underlying. The last part of this first reading of forward commitments is focused on swaps. So let's start with our discussion of swaps. Now, you did cover swaps in a very brief manner at your level 1, primarily just giving you a meaning of what exactly swap is. So swap is nothing but a contract where two parties agree to exchange some cash flow with each other at regular periods of time. Now, we can have different kinds of swap contracts. There are three which have been focused on for your CFA level 2 syllabus. First one is an interest rate swap. So interest rate swap. Interest rate swap is a kind of swap where two parties agree to exchange the interest on any sort of loan. Now, the caveat here is that one party will be willing to pay fixed interest rate and the other party would want a floating interest rate. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm exchanging fixed payments in return of floating payments. It could be the other way around as well, where I'm exchanging floating payments in order to get some sort of fixed payments. So exchange of fixed interest rate payments with floating interest rate payments, that is interest rate swap. Now, if you remember, forward rate agreement was also the same thing. The only difference is in forward rate agreement, we had just one payment. So it was basically a case that I want to take a loan after some time and I'll repay it. Just one single interest payment. Swap is nothing but FRA in a particular series. So in case of FRA, we just had a situation where you took a loan and then there was one entire maturity for it. But in case of swap, what we have is I take a loan, I'll have to pay interest on it. Every single interest date, I will ask the other party to pay their part and I will give them my fixed payments in return. Or it could be the other way around, where on every interest date, the two parties are exchanging a fixed rate interest payment and a floating rate interest payment. So unlike FRA where you just had one payment, swap is basically a series of payments. Every time the interest is to be paid, we will exchange the payments on the basis of two interest rates. Now, the key thing in case of interest rate swaps is that over here, pricing, just like in FRA, pricing was determining a rate. Here also pricing is determining the swap fixed rate. Now, floating rate throughout all of these time zones, I can judge that on the basis of market. Whatever the LIBOR rate is on the market, that becomes my floating rate. Or maybe LIBOR plus some spread. I can have both of those situations and they can help me estimate the floating rate in the market. The key thing that has to be decided is what should be the fixed rate. Let's say these are quarterly payments for 2 years. I took a loan for 2 years where interest has to be paid every quarter. So there will be 8 payments. At each of those 8 payments, floating rate will be decided in the market. Whatever the rate is at the start of that quarter, that would be the floating rate. But how do I decide a fixed rate that should stay for this entire duration of 2 years? That calculation of how we decide the rate, that is precisely what we have for pricing of a swap contract. So let's first do an example to understand how the swaps are priced. So here I have a basic example where you have some information given. Let's start with the information. So 180-day LIBOR is 5%. We've discussed these notations in the FRA portion itself, so I'm not going to repeat over them again. This simply implies a 180-day instrument has been taken as a reference average to calculate the 5% per annum. This doesn't mean that this 5% is just for 180 days. Then you have 360-day LIBOR as 6%. First thing you have to do is calculate a swap fixed rate On a 1 year swap, that makes semi-annual payment. So this contract is for 1 year. So I entered into a swap contract with another party for a 1 year where we decided the interest will be exchanged every 6 months, semi-annual payments. So every 6 months, I'll pay the other party some fixed amount and I'll receive floating amount in return. So the first thing is to calculate this fixed rate itself. Now, so far we haven't done any discussion, any formula or anything as such. So outright, let me start with the formula. So fixed rate, the periodic version. Periodic simply means that this is the fixed rate which would be applicable for one period. Now in our case, it's a 1 year swap that makes semi-annual payment. So there are two payments happening, which means one period, one payment represents only 6 months. So this is effectively the rate for 6 months. If the question had quarterly payments, you'll have 90-day, 180-day, 270 and 360-day LIBORs. And in that case, whatever you calculate from this formula, that would be quarterly rate. So whatever the periodicity of your question's information is, this formula is going to give you exactly that. This is 1 minus last z value upon sum of z values. Now, what exactly is this z value? Z is nothing but a discount factor. Now, for a lot of students who've done some sort of time value of money in your graduation and your colleges, you might be more familiar with the idea of discount factor, and you might have been using that before you were introduced in quants level 1 to the entire idea of PV, FV and discount rates. Discount factor is nothing but value of $1, or rather present value of $1 if discounted for a given duration. So effectively, if I'm going to receive $1 after 1 year and the discount rate is, let's say hypothetically 10%. If I calculate the present value of that $1 for 1 year at 10% discounting, whatever the present value I get, that is known as the discount factor. So discount factor is nothing but an alternative way of looking at the calculation of present value. Don't be confused, is not something new. It is just your same present value calculations. The only difference is, instead of having a dollar amount and then discounting it, we are finding out that if $1 was to be received after 1 year, what would be its value right now? And then we just simply multiply it with whatever we actually are going to receive after 1 year. So let's say $1's value comes out as 0.909 for 1 year for 10%. Now, in reality, if I am going to receive $5 million after 1 year, the easier way to calculate present value of those 5 million is to simply multiply it with the discount factor. So it is just an alternative way of doing the PV calculations that we have done so many times in the derivatives and also at multiple times in your level 1 curriculum. So I hope the Z part in all of this calculation makes sense. Now, what we have to do is we have to calculate the Z value for 180 day and Z value for 360 days. So basically, if you were receiving $1 after 180 day, what would be its present value? And if you were receiving $1 after 360 days, what would be its present value? That's all we have to calculate. So this would simply be 1 divided by, now the appropriate rate for 180 days is 5%. So this would be 1 plus 5%. Now we've already done this in the LIBOR calculations that we had in FRA. In case of using LIBOR, we follow the 360-day convention and we follow simple interest. So this would be just 180 by 360. And when we are calculating the Z value for 360 day, $1 divided by 1 plus 6%, 360 by 360, because Effectively, this $1 is being received after 360 days, so I don't have to make any sort of time adjustment here. Now that we have both of these calculations done, give it a try, see if you can get values for both of these rates. If you do the calculations, you'll get the value 0.9756 and 0.9434. Once you have these values, the calculation is simply 1 minus last Z value. So if in the entire year, the last payment is happening at 360 days, this becomes your last Z value. So effectively, the swap fixed rate periodic is 1 minus 0.9434 divided by sum of all Z values for all the payments happening within the year. So within the year, we have two payments. One has Z value 9756, the other has 9434. So we add them all. 9756 plus 9434. This will get you 0.0295 or 2.95%. Now, keep in mind that whenever we have to quote any answer in the exam, we always do it on a per annum basis. I discussed this at length in the FRE discussion as well. So effectively, this 2.95% is not the rate for the full year. This is the rate just for the 6 months. That's why it is called fixed rate for a period. If we need the actual swap fixed rate, for this, we need annualization of this 2.95%. So annualizing, again, whenever we are dealing with LIBOR, we follow a simple interest-based 360-day convention. So if this is for 6 months, the annual rate will be 2.95% multiplied with 360 by 180. Because this represents one period is 180 days for us because semi-annual payments. So we'll solve this and that would give us our annual rate. So the annual rate comes out as 5.9% per annum. This is my swap fixed rate. I hope all of this discussion so far makes sense. Now, one of the things you can get in this kind of question is to calculate the fixed rate itself. The second thing is for you to calculate what would be the amount that would be paid by the person who will pay this 5.9% per annum in the swap contract. So calculating the amount to be paid is very basic. At any point in time, you can use this periodic rate, multiply it with the notional principal, which is $1 million. And that will be your payment. Because effectively what this 2.95% saying is that after 6 months when the payment has to be made, the person who has agreed to pay the fixed rate of 5.9% per annum, he'll simply pay 2.95% of $1 million. That will be his side of the payment. And in return, he will receive something on the basis of floating rates, on the basis of market rates. So if you have to calculate the amount to be paid in any particular installment or in any particular payment, that is simply calculated as periodic swap fixed rate multiplied with notional principal. Again, the principal is notional for the same reasons we had in FRA. Often these are contracts that I do to mitigate the loans that I might have with other financial institutions. So I actually take a loan from bank. Bank is only willing to give me at a floating rate, but I want a fixed rate obligation. So what I do is I enter into a contract of swap nature such that I'm able to convert the interest that I'm paying to the bank on the actual loan into a fixed based interest rate. So swap is not actually used to exchange the entire loan amount. Rather, it is done to eliminate the risk. Hence, mostly we have notional principal. So I hope both of these parts are clear. After pricing, the next thing in focus is going to be the valuation. Let's look at that.